She actually slept with someone for money.
I don't want a huge wedding, and I am having one just to satisfy her.
Generally speaking, the bigger the wedding, the faster the divorce. They see men as paychecks, and they see men as free accommodation, and they see men as flights.
Well, he calls me a stupid bitch all the time. He always tells me that I'm less than him, that he's in the top and I'm at the bottom.
Look, depression is a side effect of bad decisions. Whenever we get super sad about something, it's usually because our decisions led us there. The men that get into trouble are the men that see themselves as special. They think they're special. This is the biggest downfall of men.
I thought that maybe
You were different. She didn't lie. She told you the truth. Now, if you ignore red flags,
hey, I'm well, Sadia. Thank you so much for taking the time.
no, thank you for calling. So I won't ask any questions about, your name or anything like that, so we can just dive straight into it. Do you mind telling me what your problem is? And hopefully I should be able to come up with a solution.
Okay, so I'm having a little bit of a tough time moving on from a long-term relationship. I'll try to be brief, so I know we don't have a ton of time. 5.5 years, exited the relationship at the end of April. Um, eh, Immediately, she went on to be very, very promiscuous, like the day that I left. She actually slept with someone for money for $1,000, which I found to be quite disgusting and morally just against, my values.
Yeah.
Then she went on a dating spree, and yeah, she's met some guy that was paying her, and now they're together, which I find really just nasty. And I thought she was somebody else.
And you were together for 5 years?
5.5 years.
Okay.
I had met her in 2020. At the time, I was 40 years old. She was 20. We had a 20-year age gap, but
Right.
we were in the same industry,
Which is, what was the industry?
real estate. We were
Okay.
in the same industry, but we
Yeah.
were in different cities.
Okay.
So we had met, and she was planning to come to my city because she wanted to move here. I was doing extremely well in real estate. So we ended up getting together, and she ended up moving in with me basically a month and a half after we met, and we spent every single day together for 5.5 years.
And was she in a relationship before you? Like, was she just coming out of a relationship, or was she totally single?
She was out of a relationship for a year, which apparent to her was toxic, and every other relationship in her life, the same thing.
Yeah.
Did find out in the beginning after, we kind of got together and I started having feelings for her. We really liked each other. I found out, and she told me that she had kind of like a sugar baby past, like a little bit of a bad scene with,
There we go.
escorting. She had her dad was a deadbeat. The mom was an overbearing, bitter against the world, hated kind of men sort of scenario. Came from
So
a lot of
she,
chaos.
so just so I understand, when you met her, she told you that she used to be a sugar baby. You have a 20-year age gap. When you left, she went back to sugar babying. What's surprising you?
I So when we met, I didn't know that right away. I looked at her as somebody that was in my field, that was professional, that had kind of left that behind. And through the growth that we had for the years, like, we obviously had a bond together for that amount of time
And
together.
can I ask, were you financially supporting her, or was she contributing? What was it like?
She was, I mean, the bulk of it was on me, but she did contribute a little bit, and I, tried to support her in all of her businesses and all of, the changes that she had and the reinventions of herself over the years. But the
And just
bulk of everything.
just so I understand, like when you're dating somebody who's like young enough to be your child, who doesn't have a great relationship with their father, what do you think that woman is looking for in a man if she's dating men 20 years older? Just so I understand your perspective, what do you think she's looking for?
Well, obviously, I thought she was kind of looking for sort of that security, and I didn't at the time, like I didn't realize that that was obviously like a big red flag, and I should have realized. But then I got attached, and she wasn't a dumb 20-year-old. She was actually, she had a decent head on her shoulders.
Yeah.
So we got along. It wasn't like your typical 20-year age gap. I mean, I felt to me, it felt like she was in her 30s, like mentally, right? So it wasn't kind of typical, and I did think that like the age gap.
But it's turning out to be a bit typical, no? That she's broken up with you and gone straight back to escorting.
Yeah, it was very difficult. It was a basically the last 6 months of the relationship. It was very dysfunctional, a lot of fighting, a
Did
lot
you
of
did you catch her at any point in the relationship being on any websites or doing anything provocative or promiscuous?
no, not at all. We did have loyalty, and I do believe that.
There
Um,
was no signs whatsoever?
None. We were together, Sadia, every day for literally 5.5 years. We didn't spend like a day apart.
And there was no like, then if it was so loyal and great, why did it end?
So we moved a lot. We were pretty much trying to find a place where we could sort of both thrive and be happy. And we just kind of couldn't find that. I really didn't like the place that we were in at the end, and it caused a lot of friction. I
Why
couldn't
did it
find.
cause friction? What was wrong with the place?
So I didn't like the city.
What city was it? Do you mind me asking what city it was?
It was in Canada. It was Calgary, Alberta,
Okay,
which to me, I'm from a far more like a nicer city.
you're right.
So it felt like a big, downgrade. And
Mhm.
environment to me plays a huge role.
And
We lived in a lot of world-class
she liked
places.
it. She liked it, or what did she think of it?
She liked it. She thought it was a good place to build and make money, and I didn't fit in there. Like the people, it wasn't for me.
And did she in the first, I mean, she's 20 to 25, they want to go out and, they want to drink and they want to meet people. Did she have any of those traits or no?
No, no, she didn't. She didn't want to go out. We basically lived for 2 years like a sober life. We didn't even drink.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of just lived like a day-to-day life. And, I think that the last couple of years there was a lot of instability.
Yeah.
And my main business is obviously is real estate on like the higher end spectrum of the market. And with moving around, I couldn't sort of plug back into that in the cities that we were in. So we
Yeah.
had a lot of like financial ups and downs, but things were always paid for. Like we
And
lived a good life.
when things are a bit down, was she consistent, or is that what was her final straw? What made her want to leave? Because usually when relationships end, it's more on the woman's terms. What made her want to leave?
So basically, it was the lack of stability, like us not being able to find a place. I think all the moves sort of took a big toll on her, and there was a lot of like financial up and down. Like I
There we
wasn't
go.
making I wasn't making the income I was making when we first met. I wasn't making terrible income.
But Dave, isn't the writings on the wall here? What are you noticing from saying this all out loud? Tell me, because one trick I always recommend to everybody is say your relationship out loud, and at some point the penny will drop. Now, from what you're saying, you met her when she was 20, you were 14. She moved in straight away. She used to be an escort. She used to be a sugar baby. She went into real estate and got with somebody who was obviously a lot more financially stable than her. She was with him up until he became financially unstable and she left. What do you think a woman's going to do after that based on her nature?
Well, I guess now that you put it that way, I've thought of that, but the thing that I just don't understand, and I'm having a tough time. It's like I don't have a tough time dating or whatever. But I'm having a tough time moving on from the fact that how could somebody switch up like that
She
so
didn't
quickly?
switch up. She didn't. She stayed very consistent. She was always transactional. She was always an escort. She was always a sugar baby. She then went into real estate, which is almost a polished up version of escorting in a lot of cities. I'm not saying that's her, but in a lot of cities. Then she went and moved in with another sugar daddy. Nothing changed. Nothing changed. She literally did the same trajectory that she's always been on. It's just that one problem men make, particularly when they're dating sugar babies and escorts and women with a wild past, the men that get into trouble are the men that see themselves as special. They think they're special. This is the biggest downfall of men. If you're the type of man that's going to date a woman with a promiscuous past and there's a huge age gap and she, used to sleep with men for money in the past or whatever it is, and you start thinking, oh, I've got to watch this one. This one's dangerous. I'm not going to fall in love with her because the chances are she's not going to fall in love with me. She's transactional. You'll have no problems. You'll have the best time with her. You'll enjoy her. She'll enjoy you. You both know it's transactional. No problem. But if you're the type of person that thinks I'm special, not with me, I'm different. You don't understand women. You're understanding yourself more than you're understanding women. Yes, you might be special on paper, but women like that don't see men as special. They see men as paychecks, and they see men as free accommodation, and they see men as flights. And the moment you think you're none of the above, you're going to get really deeply played. And what I'm trying to understand is there is zero shock value here, because she even left you when the money dried out, like, or got difficult. And you have to accept when there's a huge age gap, there's something wrong. I know a lot of people think it just means that they're really high value or she's really attracted to. It's just not the way it is. There's always a daddy issue, and there's always a financial need.
Always, hey, it's I guess that financially it was up and down for like a couple years, and like we went through times where the bank account was full, we went through times when the bank account was empty. And it's like we always kind of went through, and we were also engaged.
But again, transactional people use engagements as a form of permanent income. Did she want you to sign a prenup?
No,
Exactly.
no.
And I bet that was a source of tension.
She pushed the engagement on me. It wasn't something that I even at the time wanted to do.
Why did you not want to do it?
At the time, I didn't feel it. Like I wasn't 100% sure. Like I knew, like of course I had love for her. At that point, we were together for about 3 years. I had a large transaction come through, and she's like, "Why aren't we getting a ring? Why am I still a girlfriend?" And then we had a big fight about that. I was like, "Look, this isn't like the right way to do it." Like I just didn't feel good about the whole thing, and I never did. Right?
But if you never did, then something's not adding up with your analysis of the relationship. If she's really loving and loyal and there was no signs, then why wouldn't you just be happy that you're engaged and not sign and just be like, forget the prenup? You're loving, you're loyal, there's no signs of you being unfaithful, everything's great. Why didn't you just do it? There was obviously signs.
Well, no, I did. Like we would fight a lot, and like a lot of the times in like the fighting, she was disrespectful. She would be overly like critical. She'd be very bossy. And I just it was always something that, like the father issues would surface, the instability with her growing up with financial insecurities would surface like quite a bit. And she could be, Sadia, very nasty. Like in a fight, like she goes 0 to 100 in like a second.
Yeah,
And
and
that
I
was tough for
understand.
me to deal with.
Yeah,
Like
I
I was
understand.
like
She's on,
she
and
was
it
this
happens.
monster.
Yeah, I know. And women like that who go from 0 to 100 and have a really sharp tongue on them, unfortunately, they struggle to stay in long-term relationships. They struggle because they'll push and push and push until either it breaks down or it gets physical. So I understand that it's really difficult to be with somebody with a sharp tongue. But what I'm not understanding is your confusion about her behavior post-breakup, when that was her behavior pre-relationship, and it sounds like very much her relationship behavior throughout.
Hey, I guess call me crazy. I thought that maybe,
You were different.
we obviously had something a little bit more, and I looked at her at a higher level,
But
and I was
but
just
that's you who looked at her higher level. That's not what her. Look, here's the thing: if somebody walks in with a resume filled with criminal convictions and robberies and no job, and we think, I'm going to promote you to CEO, that's us. That's not them. They came to us with their CV. So if they go back to what they know, again, that's us. That's not them doing anything wrong. They presented themselves a certain way. She didn't lie. She could have lied and said, I've never done escorting, I've never been a sugar baby, I've never been with an older man. She could have lied. She told you the truth. Now, if you ignore red flags, then look, here's
I
what.
guess I
Yeah.
got attached. Like, I felt a very deep attachment to this person.
Mhm.
And when that relationship ended, it ended on the basis that we were going to spend about like a month or two apart, regroup, and kind of come back together. But then immediately, she had a different story.
But one
Right.
thing
And I
I would
just felt that
say, one thing as a man, I would say to you, if you're dating a woman 20 years younger than you, the speed of which she can replace you is unbelievable. And the reason being is women that date any age group, they have no barriers to who they select, because they can be with a 19-year-old, 20-year-old, 25-year-old, 28-year-old. And the main reason they have no barriers is they don't focus on attraction, they focus on provision. And so it's so easy for them. Whereas if a woman is only dating men she's heavily attracted to, so very similar to, she's not going to go super old, super young, she's going to stay within her range, she's going to struggle to move on because it takes a lot for her to find a compatible partner. But if you're dating transactional women, they move on very, very quickly. So my advice would be, Davis, I know it's difficult to hear and I know I'm a bit tough with it, but you were dating somebody with all the writings on the wall, every single one. And so you choosing to be shocked is depression is a side effect of bad decisions. Whenever we get super sad about something, it's usually because our decisions led us there. Now, when you decide to ignore someone's behavior simply because usually 90% of the time when men do ignore all red flags is because they're attracted. Nothing else. It's not because she's super kind or super sweet or super mature. They usually filled with daddy issues, instability, a sharp tongue on them, but because they're attracted, they let go of all of those. So you have to say to yourself, look, I know what she was about. She was always about this. I just put her looks on a pedestal and put her on a higher regard because I was attracted. But technically, she was not lying to me. And technically, she showed me signs that she's unstable anyway. And the final thing I would say is, what do we expect 25-year-olds to do? I can even say when I was 25, I would still think like, of course she's going to go out and move on and do what she wants. Like, they're young. That's what they do. Yeah, they can have a completely different outcome of a breakup than somebody in their 30s or somebody's in their 40s because they're still young, they're still fertile, they've still got so much time, there's so many holidays that they can go on. Young people are supposed to act young.
I guess really I just didn't understand. It's like, does this person even have a functioning nervous system to be able to do that the same day that I like move out?
She was doing it for 5 years. That was her job. I know it does. I know you won't believe it, but she was doing it for 5 years. If she was in a 20-year age gap where she's being provided for, and then as soon as you leave, she goes to another sugar daddy, or she goes, there's not a big jump. She was doing what she's been doing.
I guess you're right. I think she's going to dad figure, monkey branching. It's
But
whatever it is. I tried to analyze it myself. I mean, I try to think of it the best way that I can.
the best way to see it is women who date men, when women don't have father figures in their life and they date significantly older men who are providing for them, these women are not in love, but they're in survival. And once they get safety, they then start looking for other men. So if she becomes financially stable, she'll look for a man that she's actually compatible with. Or if she meets a man and she's financially stable, she might start looking for another man that she's compatible with. But these women see men more as a role than as an attachment figure.
So you pretty well think that this pattern with her is probably likely going to continue.
Yeah, it will continue. And what their goal is always to get married to a man, then get baby alimony, and then they can relax. Then they can stop using men because they've got their stable income.
That's kind of what I think that she's gonna end up.
To each their
I
own.
can't believe she's like
Yeah.
dating some new guy right away. That's obviously has done nice things for her, given her money, like whatever.
Which is what you did for her, no? Isn't that what you did for her?
Well, I wasn't giving her money. Like when we got together, it's like we went out, we had like a normal day-to-day relationship. Like I helped her with her business, but I wasn't handing her cash. Like, of course, obviously, like the bills were always.
You're providing living expenses, and then you're helping her with the business, and chances are she doesn't have to pay for anything. So it's still the same thing. I'm not saying that women have to split, but when a woman is like significantly younger than you and you're living off or she's living off you, that's her type. That's what she's looking for. So I would just say, to just kind of summarize, it's always better to know what you're going for rather than ignore red flags and then be shocked that they did what they've always done. They're going to do what they've always done. And the other thing is they're young. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to do these things. You do have to remember what you were like 20 years ago. You would probably be like, one girl, oh, forget her, next one. This is just what they're like. So we can't expect them to process breakups and relationships the same way you do as a grown adult.
Well, I guess you're very right.
Yeah. Think about what you would have done after a breakup at 25.
I probably would have been out the next night with my friends at a bar or nightclub, right?
And girls nowadays will be the same way, and they'll be on a boat in Cannes by the summer. So you've got to remember who she is, not who you are. Because sometimes we focus so much on making sure that our partner is similar to us, and how come I'm hurting and they're not hurting, or how come I'm in pain and they're fine? Because you chose someone so different to you. That's why. Yeah.
You know what? You're very right. I guess I'm glad to now kind of see it from this perspective, because it just makes so much more sense. I just was so stuck on like, how could she have done that?
She did it because she's who she is. She's what, yeah. And you just try and give her some grace for that, because she didn't lie.
True. No, she didn't. She
It's not,
didn't
yeah,
lie.
she
She
didn't.
didn't. I'll give her that. She was truthful. She wasn't, I don't think, deep down a bad person, but I just think maybe we were just incompatible.
Incompatible. Thank you so much for your time, Dave. Have a great day.
Sadia, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Care.
You as well. Okay, take care.
Hi, welcome to The Brutal Truth. How can I help?
Hi, Sadia. Pleasure to meet you. Thank you. I'm from New York.
Would you mind telling me what your scenario is? And hopefully I should be able to offer some help.
Yeah, sure, no problem. So I'm getting married in September of 2027, so a year from now. And so I feel good about it, but not great. That's why I am getting a prenup.
Yeah.
There has been no like mishaps of like infidelity or anything like that. And a few days ago, we did our engagement shoot, but I really didn't have any interest because I don't want a huge wedding, and I am having one just to satisfy her in that department. And she is signing my prenup. What do you suggest?
Okay. And is this a huge wedding something you can afford, or is it something you're splitting, or what's it like?
I've been saving for the past year and a half or so. It's I just bought my first house. But to answer your question, yeah, I guess I could afford it a bit, yeah, something like that. But it's gonna kind of bring me down to a low balance.
And is she contributing or no?
Yes, she is. So she half of her family's paying half of the bill. I'm paying half of the bill, and it's
Okay.
about 80 grand. So it's 40 grand each.
Okay, so it's not cheap. And how does your family feel about that? Are they okay with that?
With what
With the split? Sorry, did you say they're contributing or they're not contributing?
Yes, her family's contributing, and I'm contributing to my portion. I'm not asking anyone for help.
Okay. And well, it's a good thing that she's willing to sign your prenup. So we know that she's not, in there for the wrong reasons. It's also, a good thing that you said that the relationship is very loyal. There's no problems there. I would just say, like, for her own sake, it's always good to really in the cost of weddings for your own sake, because generally speaking, the bigger the wedding, the faster the divorce. It just, I don't know why it's correlated. It just is. And I would imagine it's because people get carried away with the party rather than the connection. So I can understand why you're feeling a bit concerned. But is she reasonable if you say, look, can we go back? Can we just reel it back in? Or is she a reasonable person, or is she not so reasonable?
She's reasonable as in like her personality, or
Generally, like when it comes to when it's conflict, is she quite reasonable? Can she see it from your perspective?
the conflict. She's in between. She's in between, but I would say a little more reasonable, but then not reasonable.
Yeah, okay. Here's what I would say from your perspective. Have a think of like, okay, if it really means a lot to her and it really makes her happy and I can afford it, can I compromise that and just think, okay, fine, forget it. It's one day, I'll just let her have it. Or do you feel like it's really making you uncomfortable and there's got to be a happy medium? If you feel like you can, and it's just like, okay, I'll do this one for her, but later on in the marriage, I'm sure there's things that she has to tolerate for my sake. If you can compromise, no problem. But if you feel like I just feel so uncomfortable that she's not taking in my opinion, or she doesn't realize how much I don't want a big wedding, then in that case, what you would do is just say, set a personal budget for yourself and say, this is the most I'm going to contribute. Outside of that, you can do what you want, but this is the most I'm going to contribute because you're the one that wants the big wedding. I'm telling you I'm uncomfortable with it. This is my particular budget. I'm not going to go 50-50 on something I didn't agree to. And you can do it that way. Would she understand, or would you feel uncomfortable doing it?
Yeah, so it's what's funny. She wants the wedding, right? However, I have more guests just because my family dynamic is so much more bigger than hers, and I don't want anyone to feel kind of left out.
So you have more guests.
I do.
So then it puts you in.
More guests than hers.
Oh, then I guess you have to. Oh no, I guess you have to go. Then what I would say then in that case is that you just have a personal budget, and you say anything above that, I'm going to get resentful. You figure out what your personal, but you've still got time to plan, right? Has everything been paid or not yet?
No, not everything. We're still working through the works of that.
Okay. So then in that case, you stick to your personal budget, and then beyond that, you tell her if she wants bigger and better, I can't do it, but this is my personal budget for what I want to contribute, and see what she has to say. And if you feel like, you know what, I can compromise, she's a good woman outside of this, and I am bringing more guests, and, you know, I probably will love it on the day, you can just, as a gift to her, let her have the big day. But if it really means something, you create a personal budget and try and stick within that budget and work around your personal budget. And if she wants to go above that on her end, she can, if she can get the wedding that she wants.
Sounds good. So
Okay.
get it on a personal budget. Got it.
Thank you so much for your time, Randy. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too. Be
Take
safe.
care. Bye. Hi, welcome to The Brutal Truth. How can I help?
Hi, I have a quick question.
Yes?
Yeah. I would like to know, how can I stop letting my partner words affect me and learn how to regain my confidence again?
Okay. Do you mind explaining what kind of words he says?
Well, he frequently insults me, calls me names. It makes me feel like I'm dumb, or if something's wrong with me, when I defend myself, he says that I'm the problem.
Do you mind giving an example, just so I can understand the dynamics, like what kind of words or what kind of incident happened?
Yes, so he calls me a stupid bitch all the time. He always tells me that I'm less than him, that he's in the top and I'm at the bottom. He always needs to be like on top of everything, as if where I go, if I have to do anything, I have to let him know. Just very controlling.
But then this is not it's not a words issue. This is a personality issue. This is not about words. Look, if you're a sensitive person and you overreact to words, that happens. There are some people who are really, really hypersensitive. So they'll come to me and they'll say, oh, you know, the other day he said that my soup was a bit too salty and I'm not talking to him now. That's silly. Yeah, you got to grow out of that and you got to get a thicker skin. But if someone's calling you a stupid bitch and words like this, look, we all lose our temper. I've got the worst temper. Anyone can tell you I have the worst temper. But if it's to your partner and it's on a regular basis and it's swearing, swearing doesn't usually stop there. It can get worse. It can get to, you know, other kind of words and other kind of behaviors, and it can then be in front of children, and it can get worse. So this type of words that he uses, can I ask how long you've been together?
We have been together, I'll say about 11 years now.
You have children?
Yes, we have 3 kids together.
And does he say anything in front of children, or is he quite good with that?
He's quite good with them, and there is times where he forgets that there's children around, and he does call me up by my name.
Would he argue that you're the same, or does he say it's more him?
It's him. He gets triggered by little things. If he tells me one thing, he expects me to do what he says because he is the one that makes the money. I recently just got a job, but he tells me that he's pretty much raising me, that he has a roof over my head, that he has food on the table. So I'm like, how are you raising me? Isn't that what a partner should be doing? You know?
And are you happy?
No.
And you want to make it work because of the kids? Is that the main reason?
The main reason is I didn't have a job.
Okay.
So I was pretty much stuck. I mean, money and everything, he was, he uses that towards me. But there's nothing to work because there's nothing there.
I know.
So now that I have a job, I'm pretty much saving everything that I have. So I don't have to depend on him, you know. I can start off by myself, get myself a car, and do small things for myself.
God willing. Okay, well, that's the first great step. Well done for doing that. That's brilliant. Second step I would say to you is, I know it's really, really difficult, but when you have a toxic partner, they thrive from your reactions. So they know that the quickest way to upset you is to call you a name, cuss you out, because you've upset them in some way. Even the smallest thing, you might have just not listened to them, you might have driven the way that they didn't like, you might have cooked in a way that they didn't like, you didn't listen to them in a tiny way. They are upset now, and they're easily upset. So they need to find a way to make you upset, and they'll go for the quickest triggers. So they might say you're fat, you're stupid, you're dumb. They just know what your triggers are. Sometimes they don't even mean what they're saying, but they know what it upsets you. I know it's difficult, but the only way to get them to stop is to stop reacting to it. You just say, yeah, agree. And then they don't know what to say next, so they'll say another insult. You say, true, I completely agree with you, no problem. I understood. I heard you the first time, no problem, you don't need to say it again. And then they can't do anything, because what usually happens when they swear at you, then you react. They'll say, look, look how you react, look how crazy you are, look how stupid you are, look what you cause all the fights, look what you've done now. So your reaction gives them an excuse to forget what they did to cause the reaction. The moment you limit your reactions, they can't blame you for the toxicity in the relationship. Is it something you're capable? Is it something you're capable of, or do you struggle and do you react quite a bit?
You know what? I do struggle when it's like around people, and
Yeah.
he always, that kind of like gives me like a trigger, because it's very embarrassing, and it's just like in public, and I feel like everybody's looking at me, and there's something that goes off. I'm obviously getting treated bad in public, or name calling, you know?
Yeah.
So does that affect me, because I'm put in a spot where I'm like, oh my God.
So you react more when it's in public?
I react when it's in public, or sometimes I do react when it's at home, and it's just too much, you know. It's very overwhelming. Like he just doesn't know when to stop.
Usually when there's that kind of relationship, maybe both of you are antagonizing each other. Maybe both of you are saying mean things without you realizing. Is there times that you also say mean things?
I only say mean things when he tells me something.
Okay.
So if he says something offensive, I feel like I have to say something offensive back.
Okay.
And sometimes I do hold myself, or what I'd like to do now, what I'm starting to do now is I ignore him.
Yeah.
I completely ignore him, and it triggers him bad.
Yeah, that's the best way to handle them. Yeah, that's the best way, is that ignoring them, taking away their power. But the other thing I would say is that, look, one thing in relationships is people can tolerate so much except name calling. This is what I've learned from working with so many people. If you're a name caller, unfortunately, even if you're a wonderful partner, you're loving, you're caring, you're loyal, all of these things, but you call names, people are so sensitive about words, you're going to lose your relationship. If you're not a name caller and you speak nicely, you could be a terrible partner, you could be a cheater, you could be all of those things, but people will forgive you, because your tongue is what creates the connection more than your heart, unfortunately. This is just the world we live in. So he's going to struggle if he continues like that, but also you're going to struggle if you get into the habit of it. If you also get into the habit of saying things that you wouldn't normally say, or reacting, even if you start again, you two are going to have a baseline of tolerance for swearing and bad words that are going to be difficult in future relationships. So I would say that if you can, the best you can, hold your tongue. The other thing that you can do is, because you're going to be co-parents for the rest of your life, even if you leave, you do have to leave on nice terms. So there has to be a practice of being softer with how you speak to each other. And if he's not going to do it, you start. You start by being really soft in how you speak, ignoring the bad words, be as nice. And if it still doesn't work, you carry on in your plan to just save up and let go, because it's very hard to make a long-term relationship with somebody who swears a lot and screams a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
And was there anything else you wanted to ask with that?
Yeah, he also tends to always kick me out. He always wants me to leave.
Why?
Because when we got together, it was his home. And now we have kids together, but he's always kicking me out.
Kicking you out where? Like you actually have to leave the house?
Yeah, he expects me to leave. Yeah, like he wants me to pack my stuff and like get out of his house.
And go where?
I don't know. And you know, and I do tell him, I'm like, I have kids. It's not like it's easy for me to just pack all of our things. And
Are his parents together?
Yes, his parents are together.
And did he have a good role model and a father, or not really?
No, it was horrible. He had a horrible childhood.
Okay, because this is men who didn't grow up with protective fathers. If you don't have a protective father, as a man, you can go in two ways. You either become really soft and feminine, or you become mean and cruel. And what mean and cruel men with non-protective fathers is, they're not protective over women. So they don't think to themselves, if I kick her out, she's a woman, where is she going to go? What if somebody talks to her on the street? Or what if someone tries to take her? Or what if... They don't have that natural protective instinct because they didn't grow up with a father that showed it to them. So I would really, one of the things I always advise women is always date protective men. And what protective men would do is, if they fight with you a lot, they would rather they leave and check into a hotel than put a woman in a cab or put a woman outside. They would rather they leave than put their hands on a woman or anything like that. Protective men that were raised with fathers would rather exit a scenario than get into bitch fights with women. But when a man didn't grow up with a protective father, he thinks, woman hits me, I'm going to hit her back. Woman swears at me, I'm going to chuck her out the house. They don't have that protective quality. So unfortunately, it's not something you can give him because it's what his father should have trained him to have. And if he doesn't have it, it's hard to train them.
I always said that because his mom will always say that she was going to leave them and abandon them when he was little.
And so
She always said that. And their mom and dad didn't have a good relationship. It was always fighting. She would drink a lot. And I tell him that he is the version of both of his parents.
Yeah, so he's got that nature in him, unfortunately.
And even if I try to tell him, sorry to cut you off, if I try to tell him, he tells me that that's not true. It's not true. He can't live the same life of his parents. And I see exactly how he is and how they are. And I try to tell him, like, you are how they are, and it's not good. But he tells me and he swears that it's not him. And I'm just like, he won't accept it. I get it. It's hard, but...
He thinks it's you. And look, there might be elements in you as well. That might be a dynamic. But at least try and understand that, unfortunately, these kind of behaviors is deeper than fighting. It's just that he's not protective. And it will make it, look, a man should take pride in the fact that he provides a house and a home for a wife. He shouldn't be resentful about that. Of course, if she's not good to you and she's disrespecting you and all that, it can get annoying, but that doesn't change the fact that that's something to be proud of, not resentful. Now, if he's resentful of that, unfortunately, the only way to get out is to become a little bit more independent, or to be with a man that doesn't mind doing those things.
Or by myself.
Yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully not. Hopefully you will have the life that you want. But just my only advice to summarize would be, unfortunately, if he's not protective, he's not going to be. And if he is hostile with his words, his fuel comes from your reactions. Try and ignore, try and not react, and try and stay as calm as you can until he stops, because you reacting, unfortunately, gives him an excuse to overreact.
Yeah, that's true.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye. Okay. Hi, welcome to The Brutal Truth. How can I help?
So I was calling because I do have a question.
Perfect.
So me and my fiance have been dating for a year. It's going to be in September, and he proposed to me 6 months into the relationship, but I don't know his children or family yet. Like, should I be concerned?
Yes. I'm so sorry, but look, here's the thing. With men that rush marriage, they're hiding something a lot of the time. Not always, but a lot of the time, particularly if they don't introduce you to their family, their kids, and all of those things. It doesn't mean they don't love you. I'm not saying that he doesn't love you. Chances are he does love you and does want to marry you. But marriage involves introducing you to his life. Now, if he doesn't want to do that first, the thing I would question, if a man had kids and wanted to marry me before I meet the kids, is, as a father, shouldn't it be important what your kids think? Like, shouldn't they have a say whether I'm good enough or not good enough, or if they get on with me or don't get on with me? So does he have a broken relationship with the kids, or is it okay?
No, yeah, he does have a good relationship with the kids. He co-parents with the ex. They do co-parent really good.
Good.
I do know in the beginning of the relationship, we did say we were going to wait a year to introduce our family and kids to each other.
Yeah.
But since we got engaged, I took the decision to introducing him to my family and kids last month.
Mm-hmm.
So I started asking him, like, when am I going to meet his family and kids? and he's telling me that he's waiting for the right time.
Why did he want to get engaged before that? What wouldn't it, like, just so I understand his perspective, what does he say?
He's saying that he just felt a really big chemistry with us, that he really likes how we get along, how compatible we are, and that he loves me.
And what made him then not want to introduce you to family if all of that is true?
What is it?
Why didn't he just want to introduce you to the family then if all of that is true, that you love each other, really want to see a future with you? Why wouldn't he just introduce you to your family?
That's what I asked him too. In the beginning, he had said, because I know his father is dealing with some health issues, with some cancer diagnosis. So there was a little bit of
delay.
tension around the family. So he said that he did want to let that pass.
How old is he? How old is he?
44.
44. Okay, so he's old enough to, like, do all of this. So here's what I would just say. Look, I would say you can get engaged, no problem, but you can't get married until you know that you get on with his kids. You just say, look, before I walk down the aisle, I need to know that me and your kids have a good relationship, that they're respectful of me, I respect them, we love each other. Otherwise, it's not good for you. It's not good for you as the man to be stuck in between. So you don't have to be too worried, but I would just say, and do you mind me asking, are you the same age or are you a bit younger?
I'm 40.
Well, okay. I would just say when they rush things, there's always a reason why they're rushing a marriage, always, because you've got to remember men get a lot of the perks of marriage without actually being married. So a lot of the time women will cook for them, love them, kiss them, spend time with them, sleep with them. So they get a lot of the perks without the marriage. So when they insist on being married, unless he's like super religious, there's something that they're trying to rush or trying to hide. So it would be better, I'm not saying it's him, it would be better to just say, for your personal opinion, in order for you to go further than the engagement, you would need to meet the kids. And he can do it whenever he wants. He doesn't have to do it straight away, but it would at least be before you take the next step of marriage or anything like that.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And is there anything else that you would like to ask?
No, that's it. I just wanted some advice on that.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye. Hi, welcome to The Brutal Truth. How can I help?
My question is, I can't keep friends for more than 1 to 2 years, and I fear the same would happen in marriage. I'm unmarried now.
How old are you?
Age 20.
You're 20 years old and you can't keep friends for more than a year or two, and you're worried that you're going to be the same in your marriage. Is there a reason why your friendships break? What is the reason why your friendships usually break?
So I don't know it fully. It's after 1 to 2 years, they do something that is one of my deal breakers, and that's why I leave them. I don't have a problem leaving them, but I don't like why this is happening again and again.
And when you see that your friends do something you don't like, do you say it to them or do you just distance yourself?
Yes, that is the point. I think I just mention them that this happened and I leave. I don't forgive them at all.
You don't forgive. And so here's the thing with people who are not really, they're not great at friendships. What happens with people who are poor at friendships is they'll notice a behavior that their friend has done that they don't like. And instead of saying it and being confrontational and saying, hey, look, this, I didn't like that. Can we fix this? Or just want to hear your side of the story. Maybe I'm getting it wrong. They will silently hold a grudge. And with those people, the problem with those people is their silent grudges are not silent. They'll show it because either they'll talk about that friend behind their back or they'll distance themselves, but because they don't want to get caught, they might still follow them on social media, might still pretend to be friends, but secretly they're holding a grudge. Now, the reason why non-confrontational people hold grudges and then they can't repair their friendship is because the longer you hold the grudge, the less likely you are to forgive the person. The length of the grudge is correlated to the forgiveness. The shorter the grudge, quick resolve, no grudge, end of story. But if you've spent months hating your friend for something that they did, you don't clarify it, you don't confront them in any way, shape, or form. You've now spent months creating a narrative. So now in your head, you've got this enemy that you've created from your lack of confrontation. And so even when you do have a clarifying conversation, or even when you do have the confrontation, it doesn't work because you've built something up inside you that the other person didn't know of, and now you're not going to be able to forgive them because you've created too much anger and hostility. So do you take a long time to confront your friends about what you're upset about?
This is how it happens. They do something like which I never ever expected of them. So like disrespect me behind my back. So when I come to know of it, I just mentioned to them, okay, so you did this, and I can't believe you did this, and a friend of mine would not do such thing. And so that just breaks my heart, and I say
What kind
that
of things? Can you give me an example of something that they've said behind your back, so the last person that upset you, so I can understand what triggers you?
so spreading bad rumors behind me, or sometimes it's about disrespect, like spreading rumors about me, and sometimes it's like they have been bad with me emotionally from a long time, and sometimes it comes to a point that I cannot take it anymore, and I say it's bad for my mental health, and this person is not going to improve. And so when I realize that, then I just
But then are you being yourself in your friendships, or are you being a bit shy and not saying it? Because how can a friend abuse you or be difficult with you for so long and you're still friends with them? Like, are you a bit of a people pleaser?
Yes, so I do think that I may have this problem. I don't think I'm a people pleaser because I don't need people's approval, and it's okay if they disagree with me. But what I do in my friendships and also with my family members is that I consider them really important people for me, so I show the best version of myself, and that thing, my family does understand that. Okay, this person, me, she is putting her best self for us in front of us, so we should be nice to her as well. So
Okay.
they know me that I'm not usually so nice. I also get angry. I also am a human. I don't please others, but I just want to be very nice with them. And in friendships, it's usually like they think I am not confrontational, or I'm too forgiving, or I don't mind. So that is the usual
Yeah, well,
misunderstanding.
here's what it sounds like is when you like somebody or friends or whatever it is, you put your best foot forward and you're extra nice or extra easygoing and extra all of these things, and then maybe they don't treat you the same way back, or maybe they you don't realize, and it gets draining for you, and then you distance yourself because you're drained. But the problem is, like, when you're one of those people that is so easygoing and trying to please your friends and trying to be as nice as possible, it's not their fault if they can't match your level of investment in them, because they didn't ask you. I know it sounds tough, but they're not asking you to be this way. You're choosing, and then you're resenting them for not appreciating you enough. Now, the problem is when you are just doing too much for people and then mad that they don't appreciate you, maybe they didn't ask you to do that to begin with. And so you're going to create an imbalance. My advice would be is, look, be as much of your real self as possible in both friendships and relationships. The other thing I would say is always look, people who hold grudges, they ruin their own life. They ruin their own mental health because they don't learn the art of conflict resolution. The rest of your life, you're going to fight with people. It's going to happen, whether it's your kids, your husband, your wife, you're going to fight with people. How you stay sane is you also learn how to resolve the conflict. If you harbor grudges and you hate people for a really long time, usually people who hold the longest grudges, if you ask them why they hate the person, they've forgotten. They don't even know why. They can't even remember the root cause of why they hate this person, but the grudge itself has built up so much emotion that they can't even articulate why they hate them so much. So I would argue that the best way to kind of preserve your mental health and relationships going forward is not that you have to be somebody to get friendships, but you have to be able to resolve conflict to get friendships. And that translates into relationships as well. You have to develop the art and the skill of, hey, I didn't like this, let's resolve it. And you do it early. You don't hold grudges and distance yourself for months and months and then build a narrative, because in that time you're going to tell other people how much you don't like them. You're going to collect all this kind of negativity, and then forgiving them feels a bit fake now. Whereas if you address it quickly, forgiveness feels automatic and it feels authentic. So I would say the main way to resolve this is to confront the issues as they happen. Don't hold grudges and look to forgive rather than looking to hold grudges. Okay.
So I do forgive, but I forgive small things. But I have a set of deal breakers, and they are not as much. They are like a few
But
disrespect.
everybody should have some deal breakers, so that's not a problem if you have some deal breakers. But even if somebody breaks your deal breakers and you don't have to be friends with them again, you don't have to dislike them. You can just be like, we're not friends anymore. It's the holding of the dislike that might be dangerous.
I don't dislike them anymore. I say they were, it just didn't work out for us, and I move on. But as I want to have a good circle when I grow old, as it is good for my mental health, we should have a good supportive circle even in our old age. So that's why I fear why I am repeating it. In every friendship, it breaks after 1 or 2 years.
If you just practice with the art of removing the grudges and having early confrontations when you're upset, you'll be fine. Thank you so much for your call.
Okay,
Thank you. Bye. My wife has been staying at her sister's beach house for the last 6 months. She goes back and forth between there and our own house while we're doing renovation. I stay in the home with the kids while she takes a couple of weeks out and goes there because she has to study. Recently, when I went to go visit her, I noticed that she was randomly really dressed up, and she had shaved parts of her body that she doesn't normally shave. She looked all dressed up, ready to go somewhere. When I asked her where she was going, she said just grocery shopping. This doesn't make sense. We've also had problems in our intimacy for the last 6 months, and I have no idea what to make of this. Is there any chance that she could be cheating on me? Okay. So here's what I would say, like when it comes to women cheating on you, the biggest sign that you're going to have to be careful of as a man when a woman is cheating on you is a couple of things. The first thing when a woman is cheating on you is intimacy dies down. Yeah, intimacy really, really decreases when a woman is cheating on you, because unlike men who can sleep with several people at the same time, because they don't fall in love with anybody and sex isn't related to love, they can probably maintain a connection with you whilst cheating. A lot of them don't, but they can. Women usually are a bit worse at simultaneously sleeping with lots of men, unless she's a serial cheater and she's been doing it her whole life. Usually the intimacy will die down. But the second thing, and I think the most important thing, because intimacy can sometimes die down when you're not having an affair as a woman. It can simply be your age or your drive, or you might be a bit depressed. So that's not the only reason. But the main thing I would say is they lose empathy for a man that they are cheating on. With women, when they are cheating on their husbands, they just generally lose empathy for him. So you'll notice that you might be a bit upset, you might be sad, you might be stressed, you might be all of these emotions, and it's almost like they have a glass wall around them that you can't knock and get emotions out of it. And I don't know what it is, but there's something about women that, as a woman myself, I can say, if a woman's not in love with you, she almost hates you. She can't really go from not in love to just this nice, friendly, everything's okay, playing an act. She almost starts to hate you. It's either or. We either love a man or we're totally indifferent and have no empathy left whatsoever. So if she starts to fall down the lack of empathy route, then that might also be a sign that she's unfaithful. And the final thing I would say is, how does she respond to your accusations? Now, here's the thing. When a woman is not having an affair and she's really loving and loyal to her husband and he's accusing her, unless he's really, really accusing her, but the first time he's kind of accused her immediate reaction is to give reassurance. She's like, babe, why would you think that? No, don't be silly. Like, you can come too. Like, and she becomes more transparent and gives more reassurance. She'll say things like, don't be ridiculous. Come on, you can come stay with me. If you believe that I'm going to do anything, you can stay with me. It's no problem. And they're looking forward to giving you reassurance because they like doing that for you. But if she is having an affair, she'll find a way to make you feel like you're completely psychotic. How dare you even say that? And she almost takes it as, how are you questioning my morals? Like, she almost makes you feel like, how could you say that about me? Like, this could never happen. And they kind of have this high horse kind of entitlement, like, how dare you? Look, of course, there's an element of how dare you when someone accuses you, but if you're a loving wife, the bigger question is, babe, like, why are you feeling that way? Like, no problem. Like, if you need transparency, if you need reassurance, I'll give it to you. But if she acts like, how dare you ask me? How could you even question me? And now you're just being crazy, and gets more mad at you, and then gets more distant and gives you even less affection and less reassurance, chances are she's hiding something. Yeah, that's my personal experience. So I would say, if there's a shift in her behavior, if there's a shift in intimacy, and there's a shift in her empathy, then chances are she's having an affair. But if not, that's not happening, then it could be totally innocent. I asked my boyfriend who comes first, me, his mum, or his daughter. The fact that he didn't put me first means that I will never marry a man like that. I made it very clear that for me to be married to a man, I have to come before daughters, sisters, mothers, everybody, because I'm going to be the love of his life, and therefore I should be number one. He argues that this is not necessarily the case because blood is thicker than water. Who is right? Look, here's what I would say. I personally am of the belief that I don't go into competitions with people's family members. And the reason I don't go into competition with somebody's family member is because no man can compete with my father. I put my father in a different league, and I would put my son in a different league, and no man on this planet is going above him, unfortunately, and never will. But the main thing is they're not in competition. Even though no man, I'm never going to love a man as much as I love my husband, at the same time, they're not in competition. They're completely different forms of love. So similarly, I find it a bit strange when there's this big dialogue about who does a man love more, me or his mum. You're not competing for the same thing. That's her son, that's your husband. They're totally different roles. If you're competing with other women, I get it. But if you're competing with the mum, it's a different role. Secondly, I would say that relationships are the only ones of those relationships that can end in a heartbreak, that can end in betrayal, that can end in divorce. Why would you want, or why would anyone put a partner above a blood relationship? Like, there's not much that your children are going to do that's going to, your children can't cheat on you, or your children can't file for divorce on you, or your parents can't cheat on you or divorce you or steal half your money, but your partner can. So why would you put like the person that has a 50% chance of you guys breaking up above your family members? I just don't understand that. So maybe I'm the wrong person to ask, because I'm very rational. I believe that nobody is going to be loved. I'm not going to love a man more than I love my father. So I would expect him to love his mother more than me, I guess. But I also don't expect us to be in competition. I think it only becomes a competition if the son himself, or the husband in this case, or whatever it is the type of person who's easily influenced by his wife or mother. Those type of men are always in a crossroad between their wife and moms, because they don't make their own decisions. So the mom will say, you're just listening to your wife, you can't make your own decisions, this is why you're not coming over for Thanksgiving. And the wife will say, you just listen to your mom, you're just a little bitch, that's why you don't decide to spend more time with us, blah, blah. It's men that can't make their own decisions that have this competition between their wife and their mom. But men who are very strong, who are very autonomous, who are very much able to make their own decisions, they're very much problem solvers, their wife and mom are not in competition because he has his own way of thinking. It's only when he can't think for himself, the wife and mom will fight over who can control his thoughts faster and better. And don't forget, if you did want to book a completely confidential one-to-one with me, not only can you speak to me directly, but I have a whole program with exclusive videos that will help you understand both yourself, your relationship, your partners, and your intimacy, and everything else that you need to know when it comes to relationships. So if you do want to know more, just click the link below.